They didn't conquer the world with ships or gunpowder. They didn't mine mountains of silver. They did something stranger and harder. In the middle of a monsoon plain, a civilization reached for the sky by first mastering the rain, carving lakes so big they looked like seas, channeling water through a jungle lattice so precise that entire cities could breathe in the wet season and exhale in the dry. Angkor wasn't just temples, it was a machine, a living, humming, water-regulating super infrastructure laid down by the hands of farmers, masons, and kings, centuries before Europe dreamed of industrial pipes. Tonight, we step inside that machine. We will hear it start up with the first rains, feel it pulse through canals and moats, and witness how a water empire can rise, and how one day it can choke on its own brilliance. Stay with me, because once you see Angkor as a water engine, those ruins will never be silent again. In the next half hour, we'll follow three currents: capture, how the Khmer trapped the monsoon; control, how they told water where to go and when; consequence, how a masterpiece can falter when climate, politics, and engineering collide. We'll keep it calm, but wow. And we'll breathe with the story using simple pauses like this, so you can feel the water moving, a land of too much and not enough. Imagine a year in two colors. 6 months the sky opens, warm sheets of rain, floods that flatten horizons. 6 months the sky slams shut, fields crack, fish traps dry, villages wait. This is mainland Southeast Asia's monsoon heartbeat. And the Khmer heartland sits right on its drum. Rice wants predictability. People want food. Kings want power. And the monsoon answers with chaos. To rule here, you don't build walls first, you build waters. The first switches. Early Khmer rulers looked at the landscape and saw potential energy everywhere. The ground is a gentle saucer, just enough slope for water to creep if guided. The soil holds and releases like a sponge. And nearby, a liquid giant, the Tonlé Sap, a lake that breathes, swelling and shrinking with the Mekong's moods. So they begin with the simplest switch, the moat. Moats around temples and palaces aren't just pretty mirrors, they're reservoirs. They slow water, store it, cool it, and stabilize the ground beneath heavy stone. From moats come canals, from canals come embankments, and from embankments, Barays, the colossal man-made lakes that will define Angkor's skyline. Vision becomes system. By the 9th and 10th centuries, the Khmer kings are not just patrons of temples, they are conductors of a seasonal symphony. Each reign adds a note, a canal here, a spillway there, a Baray to the east, a Baray to the west. The city wrapped in water like circuitry around a motherboard. Not decoration, but design. Not ornament, but operation. The Baray, oceans you can drain. Say the word slowly, Baray. It means reservoir, but that feels too small. The East Baray stretches like a calm sea. The West Baray is even larger, so broad that standing on one edge you can watch the horizon swallow boats. These aren't random pits. Each Baray is seated slightly above or alongside the urban core, high enough to let gravity do the heavy lifting. Embankments, earthen dams compacted by labor over years, hold back millions of cubic meters. Inlets sip monsoon flows, outlets release them as needed. And spillways, think of them as pressure valves, prevent catastrophic overtops when storms go wild. And at their hearts, islands like Mebon. Temple mounts set in open water turn engineering into theology. The king anchors the lake anchors the city anchors the cosmos. Water is legitimacy, catching the monsoon's edges. But a Baray is only as good as what feeds it. The Khmer extend catchment canals like fingers, pulling runoff from the Kulin Hills, capturing sheet flow from rice fields, and intercepting seasonal streams before they escape. They widen natural depressions into Trapiang, village ponds, little batteries scattered across the map. Thousands of tiny cells, charging during downpours, discharging during drought. This decentralization keeps neighborhoods alive when the big lakes are far, and it reduces the shock of flood spikes. The system captures not just water, but silt. Monsoon flows carry nutrient-rich sediment, and when the water slows in a baray or pond, that silt drops. Over time, these become the raw vitamins of rice, the Tonlé Sap, the lung of the machine. Now, zoom out, the Tonlé Sap doesn't just sit there, it breathes. In rainy months, the Mekong surges, forcing the Tonlé River to reverse, pushing water up into the lake, making it balloon to several times its dry season size. Fish swarm, flood forests awaken. The landscape turns to a slow-moving soup of life. Angkor taps this rhythm with long canals that can sip during the rise and exhale back to the lake during the fall. Think of Tonlé Sap as the great lung, the Barays as the ribs, and the canals as bronchi, moving oxygen, water, through the urban body. When the lung expands, Angkor stores. When it contracts, Angkor releases. Gravity, grade, and genius. A canal is simple until it isn't. Make it too steep, it erodes, scours, rips embankments apart. Make it too flat, the water sulks and stalls, turns to algae, mosquitoes, and mud. The Khmer solution is patience and precision. Over kilometers, they maintain a whisper of slope, just enough to keep flow without violence. They pack embankments with layered soils, cap the inner faces with laterite or stone, and line key junctions with masonry to resist rot. Where a canal must descend, they insert spill steps or sluice gates, wooden or stone-framed controls that can be opened or choked, changing a river's mood with a lever. Now map that across a whole city, and you get redundancy. If one line clogs, another takes the load. If a storm carves a new gully, embankments distribute pressure. The city doesn't rely on a single pipe. It relies on many. Water as urban planner. Follow the water and you'll find the streets. The Khmer laid neighborhoods along canals and field grids, because water decides where people can live and where rice can thrive. With planned field embankments, they could raise water just high enough to flood irrigate a paddy, then drop it to harvest, then move it sideways to the next cell. This is time made visible, a calendar written in levels. Temples plug into this grid like substations. Angkor Wat sits in its own gigantic moat, not only as a cosmic diagram, but as a stabilizer. The moat keeps the water table constant under the heaviest stone monument in the world, preventing the ground from shrinking in the dry season and swelling in the wet. The temple survives because its engineers thought like hydrologists. The human flow water systems run on people. Dry season, teams dredge canals, patch levees, clean gates. Wet season, they monitor flows day and night, listening for the sound of erosion in the dark, feeling the tremor of a failing wall under their feet. Villages coordinate through duty. Corvée labor tied to the king's command. Priests bless openings of new spillways. Officials measure rice yields. and the palace records who pulled their weight and who didn't. In a world before modern pumps, the Khmer turn organization into a pump. Bureaucracy becomes hydraulic when greatness accumulates. All systems gather their own shadow. Silt enriches fields, but it also fills canals. Barays trap nutrients, but they also grow weeds and islands. Every triumph increases maintenance, and maintenance is invisible until it isn't. As the centuries pass, the machine grows denser. New kings add monuments and moats, new canals thread the old, some lines kink, some lose slope, some get blocked by their very success. A water engine can slowly become a water maze. Climate's quiet knife. Now add climate variability, a string of harsher monsoons here, a cluster of drought years there, and the system is pushed beyond design. In big floods, embankments blow out, cutting scars through rice grids. In deep drought, stagnant sections turn foul. Fish die. Diseases creep. The redundancy that once saved the city can, in crisis, spread failure. One king can mobilize armies to rebuild. 2 kings can. But what about after 6 reigns? 10. When borders shift, when rival polities pull revenue, when the center must choose between a war on the frontier and a war with silt at home. The political hydraulics water is power, which means controlling water invites politics. Temples claim donations to maintain sacred ponds. Officials claim rights to open and close gates. Farmers upstream and downstream argue over hours of flow. A slit in a levee at midnight can steal a season. A bad decree can starve a village. The system needs trust and attention and constant repair. When either falters, the costs compound. The slow unraveling. There isn't a single bang. There's a gradient. Trade routes tilt, court factions rise, neighbors antagonize, and a few brutal seasons press down. Some canals aren't dredged 1 year, then 2, then 5. Silt islands grow into reeds, reeds into trees. A Baray outlet jams during an early storm. The embankment softens. A breach opens like a zipper. From the palace, it might look fine. From the paddies, you feel it in your ankles, water standing where it shouldn't, leaving where it must not. People adapt. They move closer to the breathing lake, or to new centers farther downstream. The machine doesn't explode. It exhales its people, stones that remember water walk. Angkor at dawn, and the first thing you notice isn't the towers, it's the mirrors. Every terrace wants to reflect. Every moat holds the sky. Even in ruin, the geometry whispers function. A canal that looks like a path is a path for water. A mound that looks like a ridge is a dam. A temple island is never just an island. Modern eyes love drama, thrones, and wars, but Angkor's loudest story is technical, civic, and astonishing. A city that chose to grow by cooperating with the monsoon, not fighting it. They didn't eliminate floods. They choreographed them. They didn't defeat drought. They buffered it. And at their best, they turned climate into culture. Lessons for the thirsty century. We live in a time of water anxiety. Cities sink, rivers shift, seas rise. The Khmer offer 3 rules: store broadly, not just in one big dam, but in many ponds, wetlands, and floodable parks. Redundancy is resilience. Flow gently. Designed for slow water. Grades, meanders, spill steps, because speed is what destroys. Maintain as ritual. The unglamorous tasks, dredging, clearing, fixing, should be civic festivals, not political afterthoughts. If you want to build forever, build with the season, not against it. The sound of the machine. Close your eyes. hear the first heavy drops on palm fronds, the distant rumble as a channel wakes, a wooden sluice creaking open, the sigh of a Baray filling after months of heat, the laughter from a field as water rises ankle deep, exactly where it should. That's not a ruin. That's a system, still speaking. So the next time someone points to Angkor and says temples, smile and say engine. Because in a land of too much and not enough, the Khmer built a machine that could breathe. And for centuries, it gave life. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most powerful kind of empire.